Okay, YouTubers, this is the Angryprepper. So if you guys notice the difference in my last video to this video, I'm playing around with a new lens. So if it looks sharper or weird, let me know. But anyway, today's video, we're going to talk about you're on your own. Now, I did a podcast on this, I think last week, and I thought I did the video and I had to look back, and apparently I didn't. So here's the video. You are going to be undoubtedly on your own, even in a small emergency, if you will. Now, we had the flooding 2-3 weeks ago now by Hurricane Ida that turned into a tropical storm. By the time it got here, it dumped an absurd amount of water on New York City, or the tri-state area rather. As it came up the East Coast, it dumped on Maryland, PA, New Jersey, New York, Connecticut, and then moved its way up north. Now, more people died in this rainstorm, if you will, than when it was a hurricane down in Louisiana. We had 46 people total die. Now, we're going to talk about New York City. New York City's 911 system was overwhelmed. There was no amount of calling that was going to get you through to a 911 operator. We've seen this overwhelmingness before during the Trade Center, or the 9/11 attacks, if you will. We saw this in various cities. The 911 system was overwhelmed to a point where it shut itself down and went into automated message. So when you called 911, you couldn't get a hold of an operator. A 911 message will come on and tell you keep calling, or if it's an emergency, call back, or something to that effect. Now, the only reason why I knew the 911 system was overwhelmed was because two ladies during the storm, when I was working, had flagged the truck down, right? So I work in a truck, not an engine. An engine is the guys who supply the water on the fire, or put water on the fire rather. And the truck are the guys who do searches in the apartments that are on fire, and they also go to the floor above and they do searches there. So in the truck, we were responding to a seemingly water leak, and we get flagged down by this lady in the middle of the street. So we get out of the rig, we go over to her apartment. Her apartment didn't have a water leak, it had the fucking Hudson River in it. With that, she's crying and screaming and carrying on. What do I do? I'm like, the lieutenant's pretty much telling her, there's not much we can do and there's nothing you can do. Just get to higher ground and get out of your apartment and go to a neighbor's apartment. So she proceeds to tell us that she couldn't get through to 911. Another lady chimes in, who's at the entrance of the building, who's at higher ground, if you will, because they're in a below grade apartment. She's at higher ground, and she's saying the same thing. She said she couldn't get through to 911. So people took their matter into their own hands and got themselves out of the apartment, or the area they were in that was flooding. Now, why am I doing this video? Well, it's the obvious, guys. If a flooding event in New York City and other cities like this had a small event, and I'm going to call this a small event because it was what it was, guys. It was a small event that pertained to the tri-state area, right? A small event like that flooded the city, overwhelmed the 911 system, and people were undoubtedly on their own. People had to take action into their own hand, so they couldn't rely on the fire department or PD, though a lot of the times we were flagged down and we helped. And that's what you're going to have to do. Run out to the street and flag someone down for help. I'm not saying just flag the fire department or the police department. Flag somebody who can help you. Don't run outside and flag an 80-year-old man to help you. Maybe if the 80-year-old man can do it. But flag somebody for help. That's what you're going to have to do. Now, we're talking about it in this aspect of this kind of emergency because on a grand scale, on a grid down scenario, on an apocalyptic scenario, you're going to ask for help wherever you can, and you're going to try to get help wherever you can. Though, in that aspect of the grid down scenario, or the shit hits the fan scenario, I wouldn't just be trusting anyone, because savages will become savages when there's no one around to check them. So, if we have another event like this bad rainstorm, you are on your own. And when you are on your own, guys, that means there's no cops to protect you, there's no firemen to help you out, and there's no firemen to put out the fire, there's no EMTs to take you to the hospital. Right? You won't even see a traffic cop out there, though why would you rely on them? But anyway, my point is you are going to be on your own, and you have to think on your own. You're going to have to think about what you medically need to do to get yourself out of that situation if you're injured. You're going to need to think on how to get yourself out of that situation if you're in a bad situation. You're going to have to become your own hero. Basically it, guys. I've said this before, I'll say it again. You will become your own hero. You will become your own savior. Don't clam up, crawl into your own skin, and die. Figure your way out of that situation. This is what being a prepper is. It's part of being a prepper is figuring yourself out of that situation. We are all not built to be heroes, but unfortunately, guys, if your family's life's in jeopardy, if your kid's life's in jeopardy, you're going to have to become that hero. You're going to have to become that hero you never wanted to be. You're going to become that hero that you didn't think you could become. Because I think most people, if not all, can stand up, do the right thing, and become their own hero. That's me. That's my naive side. Now, solutions. Firearms. Most people who live in a city like New York, you're going to sit there and go, well, we can't own firearms in a city. You can. You can own firearms for practice and sporting. That means, guys, target practice, sporting events. You can own a firearm. You can go to an indoor range and shoot at targets indoors. But when a target comes into your home, you can absolutely target practice. If that target practicing is going to save your life. I hope you guys are reading between the lines and I don't have to fucking say it out loud. But that's one aspect of protecting yourself. The next aspect is for a lot of us in New York City, a lot of us have bows and arrows because there are they're indoor bow and arrow shooting holes or whatever they're called, ranges, sorry. So maybe, again, someone enters your home and you're Johnny on the spot with your arrow, your bow and arrow, or your crossbow. Maybe you could turn that guy into a target practice. Maybe you could mistake him for a deer, perhaps. Holy shit, there was a deer in my home and I didn't know deers could stand on two legs. Use that excuse. You can also own a rifle and a shotgun. You could put fucking buckshot rounds in it, slugs. If you can get your hands on riot rounds, get those. I would go with buckshots and riot rounds, especially in apartment buildings, so the slug doesn't go through your apartment wall into somebody else's. Just a thought. You can also get pepper spray and mace. Now, this is for in-home defense. Pepper spray, mace, even wasp spray, bear spray, and hornet spray. Now, wasp and hornet spray are big-ass cans, guys. The reach on it is insane. But while you're reaching with that stream, you're not going to be carrying that wasp spray or hornet spray in your bag. Like some people like, oh, you can use it as a street defense. If you guys have ever seen what a wasp spray, it looks like this. This is what wasp spray looks like. It's fucking big. You are not going to be sitting there with this big ass can in your bag or your backpack. You're not. You're going to go with something a lot smaller, pepper spray or mace, right? Even that, what is that, pepper spray or that gel spray that also glues onto the assailant's face and it takes forever to rub off. Get yourself some of that shit. But these are the line of defenses you're going to need to take when 911 is not calling. Because guys, undoubtedly, there's some asshole, ladies who've been watching you for a long time. They know the 911 system's overrun. They'll probably visit your apartment, visit your building, try to fucking rape you, try to get at you. Whatever it is, they're going to try to come for you. And it's not a guarantee, it's a possibility. So, being that it's a possibility, you need to have the options of protecting yourself. Again, firearms in New York City can be owned under target practice and sporting. Shotgun and rifle is for hunting and sporting as well. Hunting and target practice as well, guys. So you can own these things. It takes a while to get them, but if you got one, target practice is on when the target enters your home. Now, there's one weapon that I don't suggest people to actually own unless they know what they're doing, and that's the knife. The knife is the more personal, intimate defense weapon because you have to be right up on the person to get it done. The problem with using a knife, guys, is that you use a knife and the guy gets it out of your hand, whether you're a dude or a female, the guy gets it out of your hand, you're fucked. You have to learn how to use that knife. You have to learn how to use any weapon. Any of the past weapons I just mentioned, you need to learn how to use. But a knife is a little more warier for me to suggest you guys to use because it can be snatched out of your hand if you don't know what you're fucking doing. If you're waving it around like a fucking asshole, get away from me, and you're doing this shit, the guy's gonna get it out of your goddamn hand, right? Especially if he's not scared. But if you know how to use that knife, you've taken knife courses, martial art courses that teaches you how to use a knife, then you absolutely use the knife. But keep in mind, guys, the knife is a personal protection, meaning you are up close and personal with that dude, and you are slicing or dicing and or jabbing him, and you're going to get blood on your hand, or blood on your hands, sorry. So it's more personal, it's more intimate. That's why I am not a big fan of it. So with that, guys, the knife becomes a problem for those who don't know how to use it. Everything else has a reach, right? Bow and arrow, crossbow, gun, rifle, pepper spray, bear spray, hornet, wasp spray, all has a reach. The knife doesn't, unless you use a sword. And even then, that's still too damn close, right? So again, guys, if you're going to learn how to use a katana, for example, learn how to use it. If you're going to learn how to use a knife, learn how to use it. But be careful when you're using it and now you're one-on-one with this dude. And if this guy towers over you and he's big, I would suggest don't start slicing at his upper body. Go for the legs. Try to get the femoral artery. If you trip and fall by accident and you end up by his ankles, cut the Achilles heel. There's a lot of things you can do to fuck a dude up. But I wouldn't suggest trying to stab his upper body if he's a towering big guy, especially if it's a big guy that can take a couple slices. I've seen that shit before. It's horrendous to watch a guy take slices and it doesn't affect him. So with that, guys, just be careful when it comes to the knife. But everything else, protect yourselves, guys. This is where we're going right now. We're going into, we might see more storms like this. We might see more events like this, and we're going to have to protect ourselves because the 911 system is undoubtedly going to crash again or be overwhelmed. All right, guys, this is the Angry Prepper. You can like and subscribe to this channel. You can follow me on the Angry Truths channel and the Angry Lensman channel. And other than that, guys, thank you for watching.